Hey, what's up? It's Sangana here, talking about figuring out my life in my 30s. So, this channel is going to be dedicated to discussion around how I'm trying to figure out my career still in my 30s, talking about other aspects of my life in regards to relationships and just everyday life. So, thanks for watching. And in the realm today of talking about my life in my 30s, I wanted to reflect on my 20s. So, just some things I've learned that I thought was pretty insightful and thought I'd share with you all today. So, the first thing I would say I learned in my 20s is just the idea of my relationships shifting, particularly with friendships. So, to kind of give a little background on what this means to me, I went to a 4 year university, and this university was like a 2 hour drive away from my house, my hometown. And so, it's safe to say that a lot of people who were from my hometown were also at my university. So, I was just had access to people that I knew from high school, and college was just very much a bubble in that way where I knew people, but then I also made new friends. And once we all graduated from college, uh, it was gonna be a natural progression that we would not stay in the same area. So I went to Los Angeles, and a lot of my friends went to the East Coast. So I had never had any interest in going to the East Coast. So I'm a West Coast girly through and through. But I remember I was honestly a little surprised when I was the only one staying on the West Coast for the most part. Only a handful of people stayed on the west side of the United States. But yeah, so I definitely noticed a relationship shift in just how friendships were as a result. So it was very easy to take for granted just how accessible everyone was in college. I could literally wake up 5 minutes, I could be at someone's house. We can meet anywhere for lunch, go get drinks. So it was just easy ways to connect with people and just do something. And now that a lot of my close friends weren't in the same city as me, it was definitely a shift in how I wanted to prioritize the friends that really were the homies, the ones who I wanted to, keep in my circle. So I think that was in a way hard to just come to the fact that not everyone had that same feeling of wanting to, keep a friendship that you thought you had in college. It's different when you're not in the same space and you come into a new environment. So I think that was like a difficult part for me to want to like keep a friendship when some people weren't on that same level. And there's only so much I could do, but it was definitely just getting to the point of acceptance that not everyone wants the same things you want, and really making the effort for the friendships you want to keep close and having these touch points, and you go have to make that extra effort to travel to see each other and all that stuff. So yeah, that was definitely a one that really didn't think would be a big factor, and then when it happened I was like, wow, this is real. Like, we're growing up, we're not going to see people all the time. And yeah, that was very, very eye-opening. The second thing, kind of in that similar realm, but kind of now focused on my life here. I live in Los Angeles, and a big thing for me in my 20s, I moved to Los Angeles when I was 22, was finding my community. So when I first moved to Los Angeles, I lived on the west side of Los Angeles. So for all those people who know out there, Los Angeles has its different neighborhoods, and the west side is very different from the east side, that's different from the valley, that's different from like the south where the airport is, South Bay they call it, in the beach towns down there. So definitely finding where you fit is key, I would say, in LA. So when I first went to the West Side, I was in West Hollywood, and it was a great introductory into Los Angeles because there were just always things happening, easy access to bars, restaurants, concert venues, hiking, things I just love to do. But I learned very quickly that that pace of life and just some of the values I saw on the West Side weren't really my cup of tea, I would say. I definitely think it was more, since I was in West Hollywood, it was closer to like Hollywood. So I'm not in entertainment. And like, again, if you saw my past videos, I'm an accountant or an accountant girly even in the past. So a lot of the things I had to do with entertainment, I just was not in that realm. So it was very interesting, a lot of interactions with people thinking I was in entertainment and very much I was not. And it was just different values for that point for me, where I wasn't interested in this entertainment life or being in the scene. And I just wanted something a lot more low-key, a lot more relaxed, I would say. And so yeah, I moved more east into LA to another area called Silver Lake. And I was there, loved it. And then the pandemic hit. That kind of had me figuring out some things too. So left LA for a little bit to go travel, do my little digital nomad life, came back to LA, and then I just moved further east. And for me, the east side in LA in general is just a lot more relaxed. And I'm currently in this area called Highland Park. It's a very older neighborhood in LA, a lot more historical aspects you find in this neighborhood. For example, the freeway here is one of the first freeways ever in LA, and you legitimately have to enter the freeway through a stop sign, which is terrifying. But that's a story for another day. But I would say the pace of the east side is definitely what I connect with. There's a lot more just not the busyness of Hollywood, West Hollywood. I have access to nature easily, which I love to go hiking. So anyways, big thing was just finding where I belong, finding what really suited me was a key factor, I would say, in my 20s. And yeah, I found that in LA, found out where I should be in that sense. But yeah, no shade to the rest of LA. Just you got to find where you belong. And I think that makes sense in any city you're going to be at. And yeah, I found that to be very important as I reflected on what I learned in my 20s. And then the last thing I would say that I learned in my 20s was just really advocating for myself. So this was a twofold situation in regards to professionally at work. I may not have realized it through the way I've gone through different career jobs so far in my life. I have advocated for myself and learned if something doesn't work for me, I gotta find what's next. And that's something I'm very proud of, that I didn't really think was important in terms of just staying somewhere to be complacent. So I'm just definitely happy that even though I don't know exactly what I want to do specifically for my career, I have advocated for myself in all of the past companies I've been with. I've had candid conversations with my managers about, hey, like this isn't working for me. What else can I do? So that's something that I'm definitely, proud of that I've done. The second thing I would say in regards to advocating for myself would also be with my more personal side of things, with like my family. I am basically the only girl in my family. So with that, I feel it's a weird dynamic in terms of my family taking me seriously, because for the longest time I was seen as the baby. So my mom and dad just have different views of like how they take my word for account and just seeing me as an adult. So I remember that being just a defining factor when I had to have a conversation with my mom and be like, hey, like, you're not treating me like an adult. It wasn't honestly a scary conversation, but I advocated for myself, and it's been honestly such a change in our dynamic. And yeah, it is something that needed to happen. It may have been later on in my 20s, but it happened. I will say it had the conversation happened. And it just, I think for now, my 30s, I just value the time I'm having now with my mom, the time I'm able to have these interactions with my family. It just seems more I'm taken seriously, and that's something I wanted to like have for the longest time, which I felt was missing. So yeah, advocating for myself in both my professional life, my personal life was a big factor in my 20s that I think is, yeah, been very beneficial now that I'm in my 30s. And I am continuing to advocate for myself, and I will not stop until who gonna stop me. So yeah, that's what I could say for today. Some little nuggets from my 20s. Would love to know what y'all had to kind of overcome or learn through your 20s, and what you learned, and would love to see in the comments. But if something's resonating with you, let me know too. But I'll talk to you next time.